I think we're going live now.
Okay, all right, sorry.
First, I asked for the price. And I buy three types. Just three. A sweet type of banana, a bitter one, and one that's less dear. Obviously, the mixture is important. The beer is supposed to be tasty. I know nothing about brewing. That's why I'm a driver. I'm happy to be able to transport Patsy's bananas. That's how I struggle. Whenever he is not transporting bananas, Charsian offers rides on his bicycle taxi. Good evening, folks. Those of you watching us on the Broom Talk Show, today is Saturday, November 11, 2023. We are here tonight to talk to you about the joint effort of the Liberian People's Party and the Unity Party for the run of elections in Liberia. We are convinced that with all of the parties coming towards the Unity Party, endorsing the Unity Party for a better Liberia, we are convinced that the Unity Party will take the election come the runoff on Tuesday, 2023, sorry. Tonight we have with us Dr. Augustus Roberts. He is the chairman for the Liberian People's Party in the USA. And we have with us also on our women wing, Ms. Jebet Kawa, who will also be speaking to us on what she knows about when it comes to unity. What makes unity to be very strong, and what kind of strength do you find in unity? Shortly, Mr. Kamara will be coming on the show, but he's still behind the scene, getting one or two things together. Good evening, Dr. Roberts and Jebet. How are you people doing tonight?
Doing great. Thanks for the discussion. Glad to be here.
All right. Sometimes ago, we remember, and it is nationwide, that the Liberian People's Party have endorsed the Unity Party since then, and the Unity Party have been working whole way together with the Liberian People's Party, and then followed by other parties that also endorse the Unity Party. How far is the Liberian People's Party? How far is her endorsement? How far are you with work together with the Unity Party up to and including to this date? And how sure are you that we're going to get the Liberian People's Party together with the Unity Party and other parties will win the elections come the 14th of November 2023? The questions for any of you can jump in, but we'll start with you first, since you are the chairman for the LPP here in the USA.
Okay. All right. So thanks very much, Mr. Zoka. I'm glad to be on this platform again to tell our Liberian people and all well wishers of our political process that we have reached a stage where we have more confidence that Mr. Joseph M. Boakai is the right candidate, and with the Unity Party policies, we're going to have a better Liberia tomorrow. And that tomorrow starts next week. And what this means for us is the change of direction. There's a need for change. And Joseph Boakai is the agent of change. And his party is not just about him, it is about the Liberian people. The Unity Party has policies. And those policies, we think they are closely related to some of the policies of the Liberian People's Party. For example, we look at the issue of education. We think that education is a right of a people. We look at health. We also think that our country needs a proper program to cater to the health of its citizens. Look at agriculture, the ability to feed ourselves is not there. So we have to import the staple food. And look at the economy. All the various organizations that provide support for the country Liberia have come out to say, look, due to corruption, due to mismanagement, this country cannot economically be viable for its people. So those are the values that we think the UP has, and we think that they are one of the best when it comes to providing the kind of change that we want to see in Liberia as compared to the CDC government. And this is why we have been fully involved over the past weeks when it comes to the runoff to ensure that Joseph Boakai is elected. We are working seriously in Bon County. We are working in Magibi County. We are working in Nima County. We are working in Cape Mount and Lofa County. Those are the specific counties that LPP is focused on. Moserado County is already within our reach. Today, we're part of the float. Our vice presidential candidate, Dr. Yakwabulu, was part of the float. He rode on the same car with Joseph Mboaka, and other party officials were also part of the process. So that is how involved we are when it comes to reaching out. Our LPP committee was also today in the street, reaching out to various communities to talk to them to ensure that Joseph Boakai is elected president next week for us to have a change of direction. Thank you. You are muted. Junior Zoga, you are muted.
Ms. Javed, what is your take on that? You heard the chairman for the Liberian People's Party uh elaborating on the reasons why they endorse the Unity Party, and he feels that unity at this time is sufficient to bring Liberia to a better Liberia. What is your take on that?
So I don't know, by now you guys should be used to me being very open and honest about the way I think about things. The first problem I have is you continue to refer to me as someone representing the women's wing, which is incorrect. I will definitely help to voice the interests of women, but I'm for Liberians everywhere, all Liberians everywhere, regardless of the gender. So I'm not here just representing women. I'm also here because whenever we talk about Liberia, my heart will beat with a passion for us improving our lot overall. And so, in response to what the chief chairman for the USA portion of LPP supporters and LPP partisans itself, which I must give full disclosure that I'm not an official member, but I'm certainly sympathetic to LPP, and I continue to be sympathetic to the causes of LPP because the values, the platforms align with my own values. So I'm more than happy to support LPP. I still have a small problem with UP. I mean, I just don't understand how politics works, where we change our our narrative as soon as circumstances change. I think overall, I do agree that it is the lesser of two evils, but there's still a lot of work to be done. My fear is that we're going to have more of the same if we don't do things radically different. We need to really look at Liberia and understand that our problem is is deep seated, deep rooted. And until we learn to be bold about facing the issue head on and speaking directly to what the issues are, then we will just continue to have more of the same. People don't respect us as Liberians all around the world because of the way we handle things. Um, I'm going to leave it at that, but suffice it to say that overall, I do agree that we will support the strongest opposition at this time because we have no choice. We absolutely have no choice but to support the lesser of two evils. But at the same time, we cannot turn the blind eye to the arguments that people are continuing to make for the other side. And which is the thing that they say strongly is that, if you're going to have more of the same, then why change? Why even change? Why bother with changing your leadership when you may just have more of the same? And UPP, even though they may be a forerunner as opposition, but they have to learn how to address and tackle these kinds of reservations that people will have, those that are standing on the sideline saying, you know what, it's all the same thing, why bother? We need to be able to answer that instead of just speaking rhetoric about, what this party or that party is going to do. Let's talk about the real issues sometimes so we can tackle them.
Thank you so much. And you've been following the platform of the Liberian People's Party, like you talk about. First of all, I must apologize to say that, yeah, you representing the women. Thank you for that correction. Again, Ms. Jebe Kawai, she actually, what she said is completely true. She's not just for the women's side. She's someone who has passion for all Liberians. She wants to make sure that our country comes back to its originality. That means where we started from, where leadership value education, where leadership at the time, we are not saying they were perfect, but where they value the lives of people, where they know when a student passed this route, they know, yes, there's a student that passed there. And we are old faction people. We know what happened in the past days. We know that there were other things that happened which was not right, but not as compared. Thank you so much for that. And one other statement you also made, which also is a very fine statement, during the endorsement, the chairman of the Liberian People's Party came out just almost like the same statement you've made. If the unity party that we are endorsing today does not do the right thing, we will be the first to come out and criticize her. That is clear on the book, and that is clear to the Liberian people. We want to welcome Mr. Charles Kamara to this talk tonight. Mr. Kamara, our first question we started up with, how do you see the unity between the Liberian People's Party and the Unity Party? How far have you people gone up to today? And what make you think that your your endorsement of the Liberian of the Unity Party, how sure are you that this force will make a win for the Unity Party on the 14th of November 2023?
Well, I mean, sorry for coming late, and so I don't want to repeat some of the things that have been said already by the participant. But earlier, um, we decided to support the Unity Party, and we have stated that this is not the first time, and that our support is based mainly on the similarities between the two platforms. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
loud and clear.
yeah. The platform, what we have, some of the things that we thought could be better for the Liberian people. And we realized that UP also endorses most of those aspects of our platform. So it was based on those reasons that we decided to give our support to UP, but not in isolation of our continuous watch to make sure that UP does what it promised to do. So, in that light, we want to ask our supporters and the Liberian public at large to come out in mass to elect the Unity Party, because we've seen something in the Unity Party, something that we share, and we will not sit by idly once we found out that those principles, those things that we thought the Unity Party has agreed to do for our people, those things that we thought could better the life of all Liberians. If the Unity Party is not abiding by those principles, then of course we will be the first to speak out. But our support for the Unity Party at this time, I think, is working well. Quite recently, maybe a day or two, we've seen some of our people, the leadership in particular, almost all around the country, including Nimba and Bond County, Mosorado, Magibie, and most of those areas that we wanted to stress our campaign so that they can come out and support the Unity Party. I think the relationship between the Liberian People's Party and the Unity Party at this time is very courteous. So far, no problems. And we will continue to work with the Unity Party, and we urge all of our supporters and those who are still sitting on the fence to come out in mass and get rid of the CDC government so that we can see a better and newer Liberia.
Are you prepared to tell the Liberian people that the election will be free and fair?
Well,
that's question for everybody. You can jump in first. Yes.
Well, I don't intend to go that far, because, like I've always said earlier, this is a regime that will not be willing to leave power very easily. And the only best way to get this regime out of power is the massive turnout of our people to deny this regime its second term. Once that is done, whether there is unfair practices or not, that can be addressed. But I just want to ask our supporters, get out and vote. Stay online no matter how long it takes you. Avoid provocation. Stay online and make sure you cast your vote. And if it comes to the election be fair, I think we also want the international community to help us serve as observers. And that should not only be left to the Liberian people, because the regime has all the machinery. And quite recently, there has been an allegation that, in fact, the regime was using government money to run campaign, and that, in fact, it has dispersed people. One of them happened to be Ide Gongru, to go to Nima County to run a campaign with items that were purchased not from CDC partisan money, but from the Liberian government money. So with that background, I can only hope that the election will be free and fair. But if it is not, with the endorsement of UPP, LPP is willing to support UPP all the way until all the votes are counted.
We cannot leave any stone unturned tonight. Mr. Chairman, what fear do you have that your standard-bearer sister is campaigning for the incumbent political party, CDC?
Who are you asking me?
No, I'm asking the chairman for the Liberian People's Party. What fear do you have, Mr. Chairman, that your stand-up bearer, the sister of your stand-up bearer, who was yesterday, we have tip on order that defending your stand-up bearer. What fear do you have that people would be on her side to vote against the party that LPP have endorsed? We should think supposed to win. What fear do you have?
I mean,
I'm talking to the chairman,
oh, okay, I have no
Chairman
fears.
Gus Roberts.
Sorry.
Well, I think the Charles Kamara who pointed out the issue was just alluding to the fact that there are several activities and on level playing fields have been created because of these activities that are being carried out. Now, politically, certain actions might send the wrong signal when it comes to looking at how people are related. But beyond the rhetorics and other analysis, you will realize that people who actually understand the system would know that uh, the sister of our standard bearer does not have much bearing on our political party per se, especially so when she's not a member of this party. She might have a link or a relationship with the standard bearer, but that doesn't make it to be that she's working on behalf of the political party. But yet, it sounds like something that people want to better understand. And in the absence of properly explaining to them, people can have their own interpretation about such activities linking our standard bearer to the sisters' activities, which is obvious. But it does not mean that they're going to say, well, this is what the political party is doing, supporting CDC at the same time, supporting UP. No. And just to add, the Liberian People's Party support for the Unity Party is not a blank check. We are an opposition party. From day one, there was various organizations that the Movement for Justice in Africa, Susuku, and other organizations that brought life to what LPP is today were not organized for the government, they were organized for the Liberian people and by the Liberian people. And so our work is not going to end with us supporting the Unity Party. Remember, we did not sign any paper that we are going to be a part of their government. No, we just look at every other thing that is going on in the country, looking at insecurity, look at the worst educational system, look at the lack of a proper health system, and we decided to say, well, we need a change. And this change means any government that comes to power should come in with certain policies that will be directed towards change. And if that government cannot do it, we should be vocal. So we are not on any other special relationship that will make us to keep quiet. After all, we have not made any demand except that the right thing is done based on our platform that we already issued the Liberian people. Remember, LPP is the only political party that presented the Liberian people with a platform. No other party did that. So where we are today is to look at our platform, look at how the UP government or even a CDC government will run the country, and we will always be in our own corner playing the role that we have to play as opposition party.
Thank you, sir. We know that research has shown that when a country or a community disintegrate, there are lots of things that come in place which has the propensity of destroying our country completely. Number one, when you have a disintegration of a society, churches and other organizations that's supposed to teach the younger generation is being replaced by gangs. School also being replaced by other groups that call themselves the best group. but they are also there to commit crimes and what have you. Uh, Given the situation right now, Ms. Jebekawa, I'm sure you've been following the leadership of the Unity Party for the past 12 years. What can you compare with that leadership that when they take power tomorrow, they are going to make our young people, or they're going to what we call rehabilitate our young people who are in the streets today, those who've been, those who are addicted to drugs because of the inflow of a lot of drugs in the society. What I mean, what evidence can you show that this past unity party government had in the past and that would do after she takes seat?
Well, so I mean, thank you for calling this out. None of us on this broadcast can make any guarantees as to the actions that the winning party will take, especially because this one is so contentious. It's so very contentious that at the end of the day, I'm well aware that there will be many enemies made, unfortunately. And so there will be a lot of, tit for tat and revenge politics that will be played out. But that aside, before we even try to tackle what we see as the future of our youth under, the next regime, let's go back a little bit. I want us to go back to this issue of the sister of the chairperson of LPP, or the standard bearer, I'm sorry, the standard bearer, his sister going, counter intuitively to the other side. It is a big issue because, depending on what we value as family, we should know that the if I'm in a household and my own sister, my own sibling doesn't trust me enough to lead, then that has a huge bearing on, you know, the capacity of that individual as running for public office. So I think that should be, I mean, that's news to me. I'm sure it's been out there, but this is my first time hearing about that. And I'm surprised that we don't have a better answer than to say she has no bearing on LPP. But that may be the case, but we should be able to address that. And so we come back to the place where we play a lot of politics. We know how to use rhetoric. We know how to even look the other way when we see a mountain problem, but we don't tackle things head on. And the youth of today, who are our future, they don't they don't always understand the nuances of diplomacy, of fair speech, and of tactical conversation. They don't understand that. They're more direct. We're living in a more direct environment all over the world. This is why Donald Trump won in the United States. He had no idea of how complex politics is. But one of the main things that made him win was because he could relate to the ordinary person. That's my belief. Because when you would hear him, he was not speaking in a lot of jargon. He was just being very direct about what people saw to be issues within the country. And so he won. In the same way, I feel sometimes we're looking at some glaring issues and we will just say some words that sound like we're speaking and addressing the issue, but we really are not. To just say this woman has no bearing on the party does not address the fact that she was bold enough to publicly lend support to an opposing party to her own brother. That needs to be addressed. Maybe he should have been able to come up and say something about it if he hasn't done so. And the rest of the party should be able to tackle that head on rather than just say she has no bearing. She may not have any bearing, but the story has bearing. The incident has bearing, and uh, it's a mark against whatever cause we're supporting. So I'm going to leave that for maybe if the others have some more responses in that regard. But let's get back to your question about the youth. I mean, the youth are our future. Um, it saddens me that the usage of drugs is so commonplace that if you look across the internet, social media, you'll see there was a viral video of a young man that was butting his head against a pole repeatedly because he was under the influence. But that is our future. That is Liberia, and this is no joke. We have become so callous saying that, oh, this is not my relative, I don't know this person, but that is our future, because all of the faces we see today are going to die off within the next 10, 20 years. It is that age of people that will be ruling the country. So everyone who is wise enough knows to empower the youth is to empower your future. And comparing the two regimes again, we all definitely can see that this current regime under Weah is by far worse than ever before when it comes to how well he tackled the youth. And that's very sad, because it was the very youth that voted him into office. If anything, they should have been the primary group he would have paid attention to. But that's like they let them stand in line because he didn't pay attention to many things. When you use terms like education, infrastructure, innovation, those are abstract terms. Mention the name of the people that are impacted. Our youth are impacted. Our marketers, market women, market men are impacted. Families are impacted. Communities are impacted. It's not education in a formal sense of the word. It is that we are graduating high school, college, even master's level without even fifth grade formal education. We cannot put sentences together. It's glaring. So no, even a blind person can see that this regime has done worse on many fronts. I'm not sure why the US government gave them a passing grade for the development goals, because they, in our estimation, have failed miserably. Maybe we need to put some money behind a formal report, because this is just glaring, and we cannot let the international community continue to, window dress all of the failures, because that's what's misleading, and people feel there's no problem, and so they vote the wrong way.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yes.
much. Yeah, you want to make comment?
Yes. I just want to touch your last question. I think these are some of the reasons why we in fact decided to collaborate with the Unity Party, um, so that the when it take power, it will be able to bring all these community organizations together, including the churches. Because in Liberia, churches has played a very, very, very important role. Every Sunday we used to listen to the sermon. You talking about Bishop Brown, Timon Reed. They were addressing the issues in society. Now the churches I'm seeing these days, they've let the people down. So let's be clear about that. So we need a government, and I believe our platform might have touched one of those areas. They need to come in and try to hold the government responsible. Even when people go to church every day, they need to tell them why they are suffering. You can't ousting yourself from politics and say, "Oh, I'm a big shot. I don't want to get involved in it." I'm not asking you to be member of a political party. But I'm just telling you that people are suffering. Christ was for the poor people. He liberated them. So to go back to the either issues, I brought it up precisely because I feel that it is important, but it can only be addressed by Tiwan Gongolo. Why? Because either is not member of LPP. You see, so he was there as an individual, like some of the organizations that were also supporting Gongolo. But what Jerry is talking about If it has to do with family, of course, that has an effect on the family as a whole. But the reason why I believe some of us are saying that it has no bearing on the party is because how do we address it? The way we address it is to be able to make sure that those things don't happen anymore in the future. For the party to have control over campaign activities. Even people who want to come as a brother or sister of a specific standard bearer, there has to be some guidelines. But those guidelines was not there. That's why we can't touch it even right now because we are focusing on get out and vote. We are focusing on helping to explain our policy that collaborates with UPP politics. I mean, policies. So we are here asking for the vote. The only way some of the changes that we envision can come about is to put a new government in place that we can act as check on balance from the beginning. We are not selling our soul to UP. The issues in Liberia are very grave from all walks of life. I've never seen anything like this in Liberia. If you're talking about rape, you're talking about murder, you're talking about corruption, you're talking about security, malnutrition, everything. So the purpose for this show for me is to appeal to the people and be able to explain to them why we want them to come out and vote right now. Their vote is important. You see, so I wish there was other people that would ask all this question, why should we or why should they vote for UPP so that we'll be able to explain some of the situations that made us to endorse UP.
Thank you, Mr. Kamara. And
Yes.
I think one of the reasons Jabba just gave as well, one of the reasons why you will want to vote for the Unity Party is the young people who voted for the CDC today are outcast.
Right.
They are in the junk. They are in the. They are in the. They live in the slums in Liberia when they're supposed to be people who are in school today. They are on drugs, and so if you're listening to us, folks from everywhere, all part of Liberia and of the world, we want our children who are the future leader of tomorrow to be well prepared. And a second chance given to George Weah would be a complete damage to the country. And we'd like to use, or I would like to use the word of our standard bearer to say, Liberia, I see you. And I also 100% agree with Sister Jebe that the party needs to impress on the standard bearer. Those are things that we are here for because people might be telling us, but you guys, you're coming to Unity Party, or you're coming back, you're coming to Unity Party where other people will reflect. We have to address those issues as well. And I just like also what you said, Mr. Kamara, that the church is silenced today. And the church know the right thing to do. First Timothy 3:15 says that the church is the foundation of truth, the church. And so we must be able to say the truth to the people. The church must be able to tell the government the direction they need to go. I mean, you're not preaching politics, you're preaching the Bible. The Bible is intended for corrections and for reproof. That's what the Bible says. So when Paul and the rest of the other people, Paul, Peter, and John, when they were preaching strictly what the Bible said about the word and wicked leadership. They were not politicians, but they were saying directly. So again, the Liberian people must come in numbers to vote the Unity Party because, number one, the youth of today who voted for the CDC and today they are the outcast, he used them and got rich. Or the young people, and they are in they are living all in the slums today. This had to change. No hospital. That's the reason why you must vote for the Unity Party. Somebody must come up and say, oh boy, he built, how they call it, a 17-unit hospital. That's a private hospital for himself. As a matter of fact, if you go to the hospital, you gotta deposit $400 US. Somebody went there, they had to deposit like $400 US before they could get treatment. JFK today, nowhere. So again, we are calling on all the Liberian people, come and vote the Unity Party. Come November 14, 2023. That is Tuesday. Next week, Tuesday. We get in next week on tomorrow. They are in next week right now. I don't know what's the time. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's 2 days from them. And for us, it's pretty close to, less than 4 days. All right. So in order to close up, I think we have a few questions. What do we all have? What each of you have to say to the Liberian people before we close up? We start out with the lady first.
Yeah, you go first.
I don't mind taking that first stab at it, but I do want to say this. In order to call on Liberians to vote right, which is at this point to vote UP, they must have the confidence that UP will be able to make the difference. And I hope and I trust that one of you will be able to say that as we close, point out the fact that, when people are talking about the fear of JNB not being strong enough, not being up to the task, and that other people around him will be the actual presidents, actual ones with the strings to pull. We should be able to answer that, to give everyone the confidence that indeed he may be old, but he's not out, and he can draw on many resources. A president does not need to do anything except make sure he gives the direction. He can surround himself with technocrats, with experts, with any body that he needs, any resources that he needs in order to get the job done. One thing we're not up for is excuses. Liberia cannot afford any more excuses. We don't want to hear that I need 12 years to get it done. 6 years is more than enough for us to see the beginnings of progress. We understand that many things take time at the national level, but Liberia is such a small country. Like other countries that have 300 million people are getting it done. They don't complain, they get it done. So how about just 5 million people? What's so difficult? There's no excuse whatsoever. And we should never squander the opportunity. In other lands, they never get the opportunity to vote someone in or out of office. Here we have a chance to get it right. Otherwise, we will continue to be beggars, we'll continue to be backward, we'll continue to not have a future. There should be a no-brainer. We shouldn't even have to come and say it. But unfortunately, because I love this word that someone said, I think it was Dr. Doe, that said, the present regime has weaponized poverty. So that's why the pastors don't speak out. That's why, leadership doesn't speak out against the ills of society, because everyone is so in the pocket of the regime that they're just waiting for a bag of rice so they can survive. And once they get the bag of rice, they don't say anything against the regime because they're thinking about, where will I get my next bag of rice from? So, it should be a no-brainer. We want 6 more years, which will be worse because now there's no accountability. If you thought the first 6 years was bad, the next 6 years will be even worse, because we need to tell everyone that gets into that office, including UP or any other person, they should know that they only have one chance to get it right. If they don't get it right, you're out. We don't have, this is lives at stake. This is the future of a nation at stake. We cannot take it for a joke any longer at all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Kamara?
Yes.
Up to you. Chairman will be the last to close this section.
Yes, she said it all. I don't talk for long, but she just.
Alrighty. Okay, very
but
good.
but
Mr.
just
Chairman, what do you have to say, Mr.
wait, let
Roberts?
me just
Yeah, yeah.
let me say one or two things. She just said it all, and those are the things that we try to lay down in our statement, and don't take things for granted. We're giving you our support, but you have the responsibility to do some of the things that you are promised to do. And she said it well. I would just want to appeal to the Liberian people to come out and vote, because it is only the vote that will help to change the direction of our country. That if they come out in mass and put UP there and UP does not do what it promised to do, then our people will realize the strength of their vote and be willing to come back within the next 6 months and say, hey, UP, you let us down. There you go out the door. So I'm appealing to them to come out and vote and get rid of this government that has been in power for 6 years and carry everything downward. So please come out and vote.
Dr. Roberts, it's
Well,
all
thank you
yours.
very much. I think my colleagues have said a lot, and I would just like to emphasize a few of the points. First, in our last uh, discussion, I made a comment that in 1933, W.E.B. Du Bois said that the sources of a Negro state would be a challenge to the West. And what he really meant was that Western countries like the United States and others may somehow pretend that, I mean, this is an African country we have relationship with, and we have to do everything to get it to some level. But most of these Western countries prefer dealing with someone or working with someone who is not more nationalistic when it comes to providing protection for their people, like the United States, Great Britain, Germany, France. Their attention is on what they can get from out of Africa. It's not how an African country can become self-sufficient, can become self-reliant, can become educated to be among the recognized countries that have a higher human development index. They don't really want to. So they prefer dealing with people like uh, 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 George Weah and his group of people, because most of them don't know what they're doing. They can give them anything and it will be okay with them, and they take all the resources of the country. So we have to be very careful, and the Liberian people have to wake up. And as our sister pointed out, sometimes we think that, okay, we should always sit by. This is not our business. It is the people's business. And when I was in Liberia, I told people that few years prior to the war, we were prepared to get in the street. You don't have to wait till after 6 years. If a government is not competent or producing, get in the street and tell the government to pack up their thing and go. That is why we got in the street. We said, monkey, come down. And there was a series of demonstrations that were carried out. Even when those were pointing guns, people were still challenging. What is wrong with us today? Do we have to wait for 6 years? If Joseph Boakai is elected tomorrow, if we support him, he gets into power, and if he doesn't have the ability to look at the 6 pillars that they have presented, they already presented macroeconomic stability and infrastructure program. UP already has their pillar 2 to be on health, the environment and climate. Number 3, they also say where they're going to pay more attention to human capacity development. And what that involves is a strengthened educational system and all other systems. Now, I tell people, if you supported these people, they had these 6 pillars: governance and rule of law. In Liberia, I think you are aware that people drive on any side of the road.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yes. I was surprised. I had to stop in the middle of the room and people were laughing. Why are you laughing? I saw an older man driving towards me. I was like, what is going on? So I stopped.
They call that a turn lane.
Yes. And I said, but you are, I opened my door and said, well, oh man, you somebody like around 50, something 60, and you misbehaving? Then the person said, no, but anybody can drive anywhere. Is that law and order? Those are things that people should stand against. They also have their Pillar 5. They talk about gender, youth, children, social protection. Do you know that almost 1/3 of our kids that will be in school are in the street selling chewing gum and taking drugs?
Yep. Yep.
And drinking liquor? And it's okay. Who cares? That's not my child. That's not my nephew. That's not my niece. And this is the kind of society we're going to live in. Don't you think if we just have about 2, 3, 4,000 people get in the street, you think those kind of conditions will still prevail? I know we want peace, but you are not living in peace right now. Where every house in that country should have an iron bar. People are killed. There's no investigation. It's okay. It's all right. Look at the recent incident in Lofa County. And I learned, I think yesterday or today, there was a shootout in Lima County. Sometimes, is this the kind of country where no government come out to say anything? This is the kind of government that we do not want. The last pillar number 6, the UP government says it's going to fight against corruption. Really? Look, corruption happens in countries where the people are not prepared to take action. In most cases, few years ago, there were people in London that were chasing Nigerian government officials that went to hospital. They went to the hospital and grabbed them from there, go back to Nigeria and go to hospital. You are not coming to Britain here to go to hospital. They organize themselves. Can we do that? Liberians in the United States, we know where they are coming. I can tell you, I can give you a minute by minute information about what are them leaving at airport. If they're coming and going to hospital here, you tell them go back to Liberia and go to hospital, make the hospital there a better place. So why it is true that we hold the politicians responsible, we should also hold the Liberian people responsible. If you get in the street to demonstrate, if people say you got to stop this thing. I went to one of the demonstrations where the police wanted to stop me. I told them I get the freedom to travel in this country. You can't stop me. And I argued until they move the barrier that they have from the road and I passed. If you are not willing to argue with them, they're going to stop you. And so we got to change our ways. Waiting for that beggar race is not going to solve the problem. Let's change this government by electing Joseph M. Boakai and look to it. If Joseph M. Boakai cannot deliver, let him go. This is how a government should be. A government is not the owner of the land or not the owner of the money. George Weah does not own any money. George Weah is corrupt. He came to power. He began to renovate all those dilapidated houses that he had from the Liberian poor money. He built more than 48 houses in the first 6 months of being in power. George Weah never had that money. George Weah ministers leave and go to France to get married. And our landscape, every other thing in Liberia is more beautiful than a Western country that has been beat up. But they prefer going there. So we need to change our mentality of how we define government. The government, even the government come out and shoot 1 or 2 presidents, they're not going to shoot everybody. That is why we go in the streets. Yes, when the gun was shooting, we said, monkey, calm down. Don't you think but the guy could come and shoot everybody down? But they knew that their life was also at stake.
Okay.
It goes in several countries. People should be brave enough to challenge the government. Joseph Boakai, come out, elect him next week. Good. If Joseph Boakai cannot deliver in the first few months, let the people get in the street and tell Joseph Boakai, calm down. Let's hold another election. And this is how we, as supporters of Joseph M. Boakai, will, after the election, get back into our opposition suit and point out all the pillars that are there listed to you. And if you cannot go according to the pillars of the rule of law, governance, if it cannot exist, and people are still driving in the opposite direction, even Joseph Boakai himself should not be allowed to drive in the opposite direction. Joseph Boakai should go to the mansion if he's elected, to stay there. He cannot be disrupting traffic in Monrovia. No, that should not happen. Ministers, legislators should not be blocking the road. So we need to stand up. The first thing is to prepare the mind of our people. The problem with Liberia is not government, it's the people.
Yep.
So thank you. Let's go to the pool 114. They elect Joseph Boakai. Let's see. And Joseph Boakai is not doing anything different. Like what Sis Jebel said, if it is a same old, there's no need. Let's get him out. If we make the country not governable for some days or some weeks, somebody will take action. That's how it's going to be going forward. Even the CDC government, if he wins again, the political landscape is going to be different. It's going to be different this time because people are conscientized enough and they know that they should be able to challenge them. You don't wait on the government says they're very corrupt, taking billions of dollars out of the country, and you think it's okay. So this is where we are. We are not selling our souls. We want to change so that first we got to unfreeze the system here. We make the changes and we refreeze it and try to support the change that is going to come. If change cannot come, cut it off. Let the government go. Thank you very much. Let's elect Joseph M. Boakai.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen in Facebook and YouTube land, this is the Broom Talk Show. And tonight we have been discussing our support to Liberian People's Party, support to the Unity Party. We have a lot to discuss after the election. Come 2023, November 14. Come up in the numbers and vote. Vote for number one. Vote for Joseph Boakai and the Vice President, Mr. Kuhn. From there, we're going to have the next discussion of how our country will better address the issues of drugs and how our society can again be integrated the same good way. Because we know that the government flows from the family. And if you don't have a better family, you cannot have a better government. That's what's happening today. Everyone we see in the government today are those who came from a broken family. Other people who don't even have a family. Other people who don't even know that kids go to school. That's what's happening today. And that's going to be another discussion after the elections when we win. Come 2023, November 14. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to us. And if you don't see us, you will see us again. I think probably we might be back there before the election or on the election date as well. Thank you so much, Sis Jebel. Thank you, Mr. Kamara and Dr. Roberts. And I'll see you all.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, my man, not for too long.
Yeah. Somebody I want to talk to. Yeah. Cherry Michael want to talk to. Yeah.